Our main focus in these notes is on reasoning. Now, reasoning is a transition in thought where some beliefs or thoughts provide the ground or reasons for coming to another. Now, let's look at some examples to illustrate what we're going to mean by reasoning in this course. Here's our first example. Suppose that I think to myself as I'm walking down the street, I need to pick up my daughter at 3 p.m. or at 3:30 p.m. Oh, I better put the slides on the website. Now, this is a natural transition in thought. I had the first thought, I need to pick up my daughter at 3 p.m. Then the connector word "oh" suggests that somehow this transition or triggered the second thought, which is I better put the slides up on the website. Now, for the purposes of this course, even though this is a good transition in thought, we are not going to think of this as a particularly good example of reasoning. And why is that? Well, the reason is this first thought, that I need to pick up my daughter at 3 p.m., doesn't seem to provide good evidence or provide a good reason to believe this second thought, that I have to put the slides up on the website. Now let's contrast this example with the following examples. Suppose that I say to myself, my keys are either in my office or locked in my car. Oh, my keys are not in my office. So my keys must be locked in my car. Now, this is another example of a transition in thought. I had these two thoughts right here. My keys are in my office or locked in my car. My keys are not in my office. I had those two thoughts. And that transitioned to this third thought right here. My keys are locked in my car. Now, unlike the first example, these two thoughts or these two beliefs do give me good reason to believe that my keys are in fact locked in my car. And one of the goals of this course is to really understand the difference. What's the difference between this transition in thought and the previous transition in thought, which was just, I need to pick up my daughter at 3:30 p.m. Oh, so I have to put my slides up on the website. Let's look at another example. Oranges are either fruits or musical instruments. Oranges are not fruits, so oranges are musical instruments. Now, is this a good example of reasoning? Well, there's something obviously wrong with this piece of reasoning, namely, the conclusion oranges are musical instruments is absurd. It's something that's false. So that's one reason why this bit of reasoning is defective. There's something wrong with this bit of reasoning. However, in this course, we're going to see that these two thoughts, oranges are either fruits or musical instruments, oranges are not fruits, provide good reason to believe the conclusion that oranges are musical instruments. So what went wrong here is not that this is a bad example of reasoning. It's rather that you have good reasoning that's based on faulty evidence, namely oranges are not fruits, because this is false. Oranges, in fact, are fruits. So let's look at another example. Bill brought his backpack to class every day so far this semester, so Bill will bring his backpack to the next class. Is this a good example of reasoning? Well, here's our first thought. Bill brought his backpack to class every day so far this semester. And the second one, the conclusion is that he'll bring it to the next class. And imagine it's the 10th week of the semester and you've observed Bill every class so far bringing his backpack to class. It does seem that this provides good evidence or good support to conclude that he'll bring his backpack to the next class. Of course, this support is not perfect. It's quite possible that you've observed Bill bringing his backpack to class every day so far this semester, and yet for the very next class, Bill will forget his backpack. So it won't be true that Bill will bring his backpack to the next class. Nonetheless, we do think of this evidence as giving good support for the conclusion that he'll bring his backpack to the next class. To illustrate this idea further, suppose that you think the following. In January 2016, it snowed in College Park. In January 2017, it snowed in College Park. It snowed in 2018. It snowed in 2020 and 2019. So it has snowed every January in College Park. This evidence, the fact that you have observed snow in the past 5 years or so in College Park, is very good evidence that it has snowed every January in College Park. And in fact, you might conclude something stronger, that it will snow every January in College Park. Now, of course, there's further evidence you might gather, for example, evidence about climate change, that will make you think that this is not a very good conclusion to draw from this evidence. But in this course, what we're going to be interested in is understanding what exactly it is, what rules or formal constraints govern rational transitions in thought. So the latter examples, everything except for the very first example, which was about, I need to pick up my daughter at 3:30 p.m. Oh, I better put my slides up on the website. The other examples all were examples of rational transitions in thought. And what we would like to know is what exactly is it that distinguishes those transitions in thought from that first transition in thought? That is, what does it mean to be rational or reasonable as opposed to irrational or unreasonable? And these are some of the questions that we're going to address in these notes.